First off, how are you? How are things?
Good, good. Yeah, today was a busy day. We got a new single released, so
Yeah.
it's a hectic, busy, but good.
Yeah, you know what? I just heard The Reaping. It dropped this morning. And it's a great song, very haunting, very cool. I really, really did enjoy it a lot. So great work.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem at all. And getting into the new EP, getting into Dance with the Devil, how did the EP come about essentially?
Well, actually, a combination of factors. First of all, the most important thing is that we got a lot of requests of fans that they wanted to hear certain things, and so new material, but also other versions of existing songs, and we happen to have a lot of material. One plus one is two in that case, and so we thought, you know what, let's simply release, set aside from singles, let's release a whole EP with all the material on there, because that's what the people are asking for. So
The title track, I do want to get into The Reaping as well, but first off, the title track, where did the inspiration and how did that song really come into fruition?
Well, last year we had a writing camp in Finland, so we wrote already material for the new album, and these songs, so also this song was a part of that, and then we sent this material to our singer Diana, and she wrote the lyrics for this song, and it's basically about being in a toxic relationship. And yeah, people might be able to identify like experiencing that once or twice in their lives, and doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic relationship, can also be a working relationship or just a friendship, and just a relationship that kind of is toxic for you and doesn't really is good for you, but somehow you cling to that, and that's a little bit what this song is about.
Especially, and with The Reaping, like I was talking about, really, really great. And again, it's got that haunting sort of vibe to it. How did that one come about then?
Well, that was also a song written at that writing camp in Finland, and for that, actually, I asked my wife Robin to write the lyrics, and yeah, she really had to think of what's happening in the world nowadays, where this world is heading to, and basically it's about sowing. It's about the saying, sowing the wind, reaping the whirlwind, and just that certain choices you make has consequences. Even if you don't make a choice, it has consequences, and and it's not only politically, but in general, how you see nowadays a lot of wars going on, just how society is moving forward. That of course has consequences with a lot of things going on, a lot of problems. So that's a little bit what this song is about.
Well, it's been a few years now, but I mean, Ronald and Sandra are both back within the group now. How did that happen? Because that is very cool. That's like going back to early DELAIN.
Yeah, we always stayed in touch, and they're friends of mine, and we stayed in touch, and when we had to split in DELAIN a couple of years ago, I was contemplating what to do next. If I would simply close the book of DELAIN, or if there's a future there, and how. And first I was thinking perhaps it's good to do it in a project form. That's also how DELAIN started. But Sandra and Ronald said, yeah, but why not continue as a band? And that's actually where it all started. And because they wanted to join again, it fit their lives again, because they left of very practical reasons, that when you're at a certain age, then you have to choose, okay, am I going to pursue a how do you say, hashtag, like normal career, like a normal job, a normal
Mhm.
social life, or are you gonna be a full-time musician, which is a little bit different than average? And they chose the first, and now they had an age that they are settled, and they had space again to make music, and they were longing for that. And yeah, Sander, for example, always stayed active as a drummer and not in a heavily touring band like DELAIN, but still. So yeah, they joined up again, and that's how that developed, and here we are.
And it's really great to have them back too. I mean, obviously, there are some people that are wondering what did happen in February of 2021 that led to the dissolving of the band. Like, what happened with Charlotte? I'm sure a lot of people are wondering. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, well, actually, that was in February 21. It was only the result, and it's kind of already started in the end of 2019. I got a burnout because in DELAIN, I basically took care of most what was going on together with Charlotte,
Mhm.
and the rest of the musicians were kind of hired guns, and didn't didn't do much in those processes, and nor were they expected to. So no blame there at all. But that was just how DELAIN functioned. And at a certain point, when I got the burnout, I really had to take a step back and take some time back, tour less, and then the three guys basically said, well, but we want to change things, and things need to be different, and we kind of want to continue touring, and then you simply we don't even want you on tour anymore, and we'll do it like that. And but that's, yeah, impossible, because DELAIN is also a normal company. It's my job, and it's was Charlotte's job as well, and it's also my responsibility. If they would go on tour without me, then and things go wrong, then people are at my doorstep, not at theirs. And
Sure.
so and Charlotte said, okay, you guys have to figure this out, otherwise I'll rather quit, because I don't want to continue with such a big change. Then I rather do my own thing. And in the end, I offered them to take over it. Okay, then buy over DELAIN from me. That might be a problem, because they didn't write the vast majority of the music. That was me together with my co-writer Gus, and at a certain point also Charlotte. Though Charlotte was in the majority only focusing on the lyrics at first, and so that I had some question marks there. But I thought, okay, if they want to take it over, it really pains me, but then they can, and then they simply have to buy it over, and then I'll just do my own thing. And so we started like negotiating for that, but that didn't work out at all. And in hindsight, I'm relieved. I'm grateful it didn't work out, because a lot of people told me, like, hey man, you shouldn't give that away like that. It's something you build up, and the sound of DELAIN will change so much, and that will be a problem. And so eventually it didn't, and then I picked up the pieces, and then I had to think of how to move next. And then we were at the point that I had to think, okay, project, band, and we need to announce it, and that's a bit how it went. And the funny thing is, it all happened in COVID times, and that was kind of my salvation, in a weirdly sad, but that really gave space and time to pick up the pieces, and to figure out what to do.
Certainly, and it has seemed to have worked out for you. I mean, Diane is a fantastic vocalist. I love what you've done with her. How were you introduced to Diana, and do you find that there's a significant difference in working with Diana than there was with Charlotte?
Well, actually, the funny thing is that at a certain point, we of course announced that DELAIN would continue first as a project, and actually she on our social media, I think it was on Instagram, she posted a remark saying, "Hey, if you ever need a singer, you can contact me." And the funny thing was that for a while I was kind of scouting for singers, and she was on my list as well because she had a YouTube channel and I really loved her voice. And so she was on my list to contact. And so I contacted her and asked her to sing on a couple DELAIN songs of her catalog to see how it would sound. And it knocked me off my chair. And not only me, but also Ronald and Sander. And so we asked her, hey, can you come over to the Netherlands and perhaps play a couple songs with us and meet up in person, and she did, and that's actually where it all started.
And do you find working with her and writing with her, do you find it to be different than it was with Charlotte, though?
Well, the thing with the writing is that, yeah, as I said, the vast majority of the music part I already wrote. Also without Charlotte, and I wrote that with Gus, and eventually also Charlotte started to contribute with music, but it was very far in DELAIN's lifespan, so to say. So for me, in that regard, nothing really changed that much. And of course, it did change with the lyrics part, because instead of sending it to Charlotte, then I had to send the music to Diana. And that was a bit different. And part of the lyrics were also written by my wife, Robin, because she's American and she's a native English speaker and also very much into poetry and lyrics. And so that was never thought about asking her before all these developments. But when DELAIN changed like this, it was very easy to ask her. And so that was a very fortunate development there. And at a certain point, Diana also started to help a bit out with some melody lines, and Charlotte did that as well. So it's kind of pretty similar, actually.
You know, speaking of Charlotte, actually, I just recently interviewed her, and she's got some new material coming out too. Would you ever be open to working with Charlotte again at some point in the future if that opportunity did arise?
Well, there's still some heartache, so to say.
Understood.
So right now, not really. And also, if you listen to Charlotte's music and you compare it to my music, it's completely different. So she does a really good job in developing her own sound and her own music. But as you can hear, it's different. And I think that's a compliment towards her. But it also shows the difference in what we do. And so I'm rather skeptical at it. But at the same time, like with everything in life, you never know how life goes, and you should never say never. But right now, I don't see it happening, no.
Right after you left Within Temptation and you started out with DELAIN, it was meant to be a project, essentially. And after everything that's happened, how do you look at DELAIN today? Is it a band, a functioning unit as a group? Is it a project for you? What is DELAIN to you?
Well, the funny thing is, to me, the way I work, it's always the same, and no matter what the form is when it comes to developing the songs, because I work with musicians, but it starts with me. And but right now for this album cycle, how we did it, it's a band. Of course, and we also tour, and you know, it's very difficult to tour in a project form. Not impossible if you look like there are examples like Avantasia, for example. It's a project, but they tour as well, so it is possible. But I say right now, DELAIN is a band. And a difference now, as well as with the past, is, you know, when you get into a burnout is a very good teacher. And
Sure.
now things are a bit more, how do you say, compartmentalized, like, you know, I do the writing, but somebody else does this and somebody else does that. So that makes it also different. And I hope that also is a development that helped me in not getting into a burnout anymore, and trying to toss the whole weight on your own. And of course, in a band form, that is easier. You need a partner. But I never rule out that DELAIN would make an album in a project form, because I love to write and work with guest musicians, and I'm very spoiled and blessed that I know a lot of musicians in our scene. So I absolutely wouldn't rule that out for the future, but I really do not want to do it in a way that there is, how do you say, a conflict within the group I'm working with now. And I love those guys, and it goes really well. And of course, you get a lot of stuff thrown at you. If you're in a band like DELAIN and people go away, then they say, oh, they all went away, so it's his fault. If I'm such a jerk, then how is it possible to work together for 17 years?
Of course.
That's just nonsense. So, no, I'm very much about loyal to the people I work with. And I hope I can work with the people I work with now for a very long time.
And I do want to look back at your history too, because you've got such an incredible history in music. But going back to 2002, was it a very difficult decision for you to split within Temptation back then? Was it something that really broke your heart?
Actually, no, because the thing is that I was simply that sick. I had like health problems. Mono disease, and people say, yeah, but that's a flu you have for 3 months. Well, I had it for 12 years.
Wow.
And of course it went less. That's also why I was able at a certain point to start DELAIN, but I could never ever have functioned within Temptation with my condition for those years. So for me there was no choice. And of course you're very sad and heartbroken that you're coping with this health problems, but that has nothing to do with that you are not in a band. If I would have made a conscious choice to, okay, I'm going to leave within Temptation because I want to, and within Temptation did so incredibly well, that might be a completely different story, but that's not the case. And on top of that, within Temptation is of course my brothers and Sharon's baby, and in DELAIN there's way more space for me to write than there would have been within Temptation. So it's also not really a fair comparison. So to answer your question, to summarize, no, I do not. I do not regret it, and I don't feel pain for it. That pain was about having health problems.
Sure. Understood. But over the last 22 years, obviously your brother is a founding member of that band. Was there ever a discussion on you possibly returning at any point in 22 years?
No, because they have a great keyboard player with Martijn Spierenburg. Funny, yes. Coincidentally, has the same first name as I do, so sometimes people are confused. But I have a great player there, so then that would mean to fire him and to get me back, but that would not be really fair. And Martijn is great in what he does. So and again, I can do what I want to do in DELAIN because that's my baby. So no, it's good how it is. Yeah.
I wanted to ask if is Eye of Million still an active project for you?
Yes, very much so, actually. And the funny thing is, I was actually on a road trip in the US with Johanna, with my wife, and with her husband last month. We started in New England and we went all through the East Coast to Florida in the end. We have actually very big plans with Eye of Million. We signed with the record label, and we are writing, and we also want to perform live. But that should not be in the way of DELAIN. So it should be a happy marriage. Mm-hmm. But it's a very active thing. Yeah.
Wonderful. Martijn, thank you so much again for the time. And I love the new material. And I can't wait to get you over here to North America again, man. We love symphonic metal over here. So we need some DELAIN over here.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your questions. And I really noticed that you know your history, and I really appreciate it. And I can't wait either. The States has a special place in my heart, and I cannot wait to be able to tour there again. So we're back in March, and I'm looking forward to it. Loaded Radio.